All right. What is your running journey? How did you get into it?
Running journey started when I have two daughters,
Okay.
and when my youngest was born, I was a stay-at-home mom for both of them for some years, and I just needed a break. It was one of those days I was like, "Oh, so many poopy diapers, so much crying. I need a break."
Yeah.
So I called my husband. I said, "Hey, when you get off from work, I gotta go for a run." And he was like, "What?" I said, I have to get out of the house because running wasn't anything that I've done before so much in high school, but not like where I was just like, I need to get out of the house. I don't know what else to do. I don't want to go to a movie or anything like that. I just want to get out, nature. And that's what I did. I was literally at the door because they're 2 years apart. I
Mhm.
think one was still small. I had the other one still in my arms. And when he pulled up, I said, "Here you go. See you later." And I just ran. I just ran. I didn't have a pace. I didn't know about the pacing. I probably was sprinting. By the time I was done, I came back. I was out of breath. I was nauseous. Um, it was a crazy feeling. I felt extra overheated and hot. I think I gagged a lot. And then I said, "You know what? I can't wait to do that again."
Oh gosh.
So
Oh
that's
my
how I
goodness.
got into it. So it was like an immediate double stroller, the jogging stroller. Got that, went on online, and that was it. It was completely over. I fell in love right away.
Yeah. So how old were you when you decided to get back into running?
Okay, so that was two, four. So that was I'm 42. We'll be 43 in June actually, and so 14. Simone is 14. So 14 years ago.
I love that math, how he got there.
She was born 2009. Yes, so
Yeah.
about 14 years ago or so. Yes.
That's so awesome. I love that. It's now that I've heard a lot of stories about women getting into it in the postpartum as like never even having ran before. I mean, you had a little experience, but I love this idea of like how much thought went into it. Was it just like that day you were like, that's it, I'm running?
It was not a I wanted to get outside. The weather was beautiful. I wanted to be outside, but I wanted something high intensity. I didn't want to just a slow walk in the park. I feel like that I needed something intense, like because the poopy diapers and the crying and the Sesame Street, it was just a lot. It was a bit overwhelming. The Elmo's
Elmo.
voice.
Oh, Elmo.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting question. It was not a, oh well, maybe I should try this or try sewing or knitting. It was like, no, I want to be outside and just do something that to get everything out, to get this. And I felt so much better. After that date, it was just like, okay, I need just a little bit of time just to go out for a quick run and come back, and mommy's happy. I'm great.
As a mother of a 13-month-old, the idea of running away from Elmo, I really connect with that right now. Like,
Really? Oh, you get it. You
yeah.
understand.
Like, let me just run as far away from Elmo as I can right now. So where did you go after that? Like you started running with your kids, which is super
Yes.
intense. When did you
Yes.
start? Like, when was your first race after that?
I'd probably say maybe actually probably about 2 years. It wasn't quite right away. If not 2 years, maybe a year and a half. Where I did a 5K. I did like a community type 5K. I was new to the running scene. I didn't know any other runners, so I just went to Google and typed in 5K,
Yeah.
and it was super small. The t-shirts were real wanky. It was like probably worth $2.
Yeah.
The font was off to the side. It was slightly faded, but it was fun. I had such a great time. They came out. My husband and the girls came out, and it was just it was just fun. It was just a great time. So
Yeah.
5Ks. I started with 5Ks.
Yeah. Did you do the natural progression that people do, right? They build up their road. Did you go, 5K to the half to the marathon, or did you find trails before all that?
Trails was actually much later. I
Mhm.
didn't Trails happened when I really found that love of, oh, I love being out here for a long time. And
Mhm.
that's where the trail running and the long distance running went hand in hand for me. It
Mm.
was just really, really nice. Not that I'm saying running on the roads is not as great running long distance. It can
It's
be,
not.
especially
It's not.
well,
I mean, you can say that.
well, it can be if you have a
Yeah.
lot to look at.
Yeah.
Um, I think, but yeah, but the trail, I think that's which was much later, 2013,
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe, or 2014 is when I started to appreciate trail running.
Got you. And so how did you get into it since you've been, let's see, kind of running on the roads for about 6 to 7 years at that point?
Yeah. So I got into it when I signed up for a half marathon in the mountains. I believe it was in Canton, Georgia. It was Canton, or yes, that was the one. And it was just something different. I said, "Oh yeah, I see it's the mountains, but I still want to try it out." Well, I say mountains. It was mountain-esque. It's not like, I'm sure, where people in super intense, like elevation is super high. The elevation was good enough. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was enough for me to get a true grasp of it, and I liked it a lot. It was such an adventure. First of all, number one, it felt like I was running in a video game with the hopping from,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the hopping over routes and avoiding this and avoiding that, things that you wouldn't have in a road run, which is just straight linear. It allowed for a different type of muscles and a different type of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. I found it to be super fun.
Did you know it was a trail race when you signed up for it? Or did you just show up on the
Yes.
day? Okay,
Oh,
good.
no. Yeah, I knew it was I like to look at the pictures to see what it's like. And when I saw it, I was like, whoa, this is beautiful. I'm super excited. Let's go for this. And I'm so glad I did. It did seem much longer than 13 miles, though. There was a point because it rained really bad the day
Oh
before.
gosh.
Yes. So there was a lot of mud, and people really I'm surprised I never fell in the mud, but people were like all right side, just muddied up. But so it made it different.
Mm-hmm.
And I trained what I thought was training for a trail run as much as I could in my park,
Mm-hmm.
in the wooded sections, but it wasn't the same. You kind of have to
Yeah.
be, yeah, you have to be out there. But I loved it. It was beautiful. It was so euphoric.
So when did you start incorporating the longer distances? Like how long before that first trail race? And then like you found ultras?
I would say it probably wasn't that far in between. Maybe, if I have to guess, maybe about a good 4 years, maybe in
Mm-hmm.
between, 3 years or so, if that. And it was actually not until my first marathon that I said, when I went through the finish line in Savannah, which was, I believe, 2015 or 2014.
Mm-hmm.
When I went through the finish line, I said, "Oh man, that's it." I still felt really good. I was like, like I was kind of sad that it was over. I wanted to keep going. So that was part of the reason why I was like, I definitely want to go further. And then the trail running aspect of it is, like I said before, the combination of that extra oxygen, extra beauty, being in the nature, and kind of putting those together. And I know I already did my research and knew that most of ultra running, or definitely in trails.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that kind of combined for me. I think that answered you. What? I'm sorry. What
Yeah,
was
that was
the?
perfect. You're
Oh,
perfect.
okay.
Yeah. You got to it. You got to it. So what
Okay.
was your first ultra?
Oh, it was DTR, um,
Mm.
in Florida, and it was a 32 miler. And I was actually, at first, I was super nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so crazy. 32 miles. Oh, I don't know what this looks like. And the start line didn't help too much either, because everybody was like, "Oh, is this your first?" Or, "How many miles are you doing?" Because they have other distances as well.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I'm going for the 50K. And this is your first one? Oh, you chose a hell of a race." So I kind of was like, "Oh, really?" And I could kind of see what they meant, but it wasn't that horrible. I'm
Yeah.
kind of glad I got that extra chatter in my ear to, kind of almost big it up to make it worse than it was, when it
Oh
really
yeah.
was. It was, I mean, it was intense, but not like, "I'm going to die. This is horrible. What was I thinking?" It was actually an incredible adventure. I love the sand. I've never run in sand before. That was great. I've never run in what I would consider like mini swamps.
Yeah.
Where are the snakes? I don't know. Let's see.
Where are the
Right
alligators?
here.
Where are they?
Right. Exactly. So that was my first one. Finished it. Felt amazing. That point on, I knew it was life changing. I said, I cannot wait to sign up for the 100K, the 100 miler. I was so sold. I was excited.
Yeah. How did you find juggling your training with, being a mom of two children and having a full-time job at that point, right?
Yes. Yes, I did. I have to say that two things. One, I am a morning person.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
that 3 a.m., 3:30, I'm like this. I'm wired, super happy about life. So that also means that's when I have the most energy. That's when I get my runs done. Unfortunately, that means I'm not able to do it outside.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's 3 in the morning, 3:30. So there's a gym not far from my house. It's 24/7. Um, then it was just me by myself in the gym. There might have been two other I knew by name, but they weren't as consistent as I was. And it was a little scary. Now, by the way, at the gym, we have a good 8 people or so, and I make sure when they come in, I make a big deal to, oh, I'm so glad to see you, even though we saw each other yesterday. Because it just makes me feel better running in the gym at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning by myself, completely dark. So I would say I have to say that I was able to get that gene of being a morning person. It runs in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, family, my husband definitely is very supportive of
Mm-hmm.
the running and was very awesome and cool about, hey, yeah, go ahead, start early. So if I have like a whole 6 hour, 7 hour training run, if I start early enough, I'll start the first part on the treadmill and then finish the rest outside or in the streets or on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's helpful to have that. Yeah, everything's good. Go ahead, have a good time. You'll
Yeah.
come back a happy person, happier person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so wonderful of him. It's funny.
Yes.
3:30. I'm not a 3:30 person. I'm like a
Okay.
5 a.m. person.
Oh,
You
that's
you lost
good. Five
you
is
lost
good.
it, but 5 a.m. But I am someone who like I have so much respect for people that can run on a treadmill. I do not have the mental fortitude to do it at all. Like I just can't. I think I tried over like even Christmas break. I was like at a hotel and I was like, I'm just gonna go run a mile. And it was so awful. So I can't do that. But I live a block from the beach here in Chicago.
Oh,
So I go and so I
nice.
watch the sunrise every morning. Oh my gosh. So lovely, so
Oh,
motivating. And every morning
that's
it's different.
amazing.
So lovely. But
Wow.
3:30 intense. I it's a consistent thing I hear with most parents of how they do it. It's like I had to get up before they were up. That was when
Yeah,
I had the time to fit it in, before
exactly.
I started chasing them around everywhere. Do your children show any interest in running yet?
The one Simone, my youngest, has a little bit.
Mhm.
She run walks. She'll like when I go to the park. She will also go around the track
Mm.
just a few times, and then she's into other martial art type things. So she has a bow. She'll do that, and then she'll go to the side with her bow or whatever extra stuff. And then she journals and just waits for me, writes and paints.
That's cute.
But yeah, when they were younger, they used to come out, but not so much. They're not as interested. Simone, just a little bit with the run walking. I'm going to sign her up for something, an hourly race. Don't tell her I told you.
Mm-mm. I won't tell her. I won't tell her. It's a secret. It's a secret. I love that.
Yes,
I was at a here in the city, they have like free 5Ks that just started for the whole season. And they do like the 1 miler. And oh my gosh, the
yes.
kids out there running their 1 miler is the most precious thing in the world. I love
It
that.
really is. Yeah. Yeah, we've done quite a few of those, but that was when they were smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first 50K down in Florida, where'd you go next?
I didn't do a 50 miler after that. I went straight for the 100K.
Man, straight for
Yes.
just double the distance. Let's do it.
Yes, that's right. I felt confident about it because it was a wildcat in
Okay.
Florida,
Yeah.
so they gave you plenty time because they also had the 100-mile distance
Hmm.
too, and it's in September, so it's extra hot and it's loops. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is good loops. If I've never done a loop race before at the time, I said if I'm just had enough, I can just say I had enough and sit down.
Yeah.
And it was when I say loops, it was about maybe 3.4 miles if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Yeah, so that was really awesome. And for some reason, strange enough, I wasn't nervous about that race at all. I was just really like, I'm just ready to have a great adventure. This is going to be so much fun. That was the least trained I've ever been in any of my races in my entire life. Even though I was excited, but now I look back at it and say, wow, I don't know what was I thinking? I wasn't ready, but it taught me that I had to be much stronger. And now I laugh at certain parts when I think about the races. I took pictures.
Hmm.
Oh no, that was a 100 miler where I took pictures. Well, because I went back and did the 100 miler and they had the 100K, but I remember different parts, like as early as mile 30, how my
Hmm.
legs felt horrible. Um, And that 100K, my first 100K, like I was laid out on the ground with my legs up. I was like, this is mile 30. This is horrible. Or I shouldn't say 30 because it was a little past that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say mile 40 or so. Anyway, the point is I was beat up pretty early on because I wasn't trained for it, but I still had fun. I still had a great time. And by the way, that was a race that an alligator chased me. So that was
shit. Did you serpentine? Aren't you supposed to serpentine with an alligator?
Oh, I didn't, but yes, I learned that after the fact. Yes, I now know that because I've done extensive research. Because I went back for the 100 mile. I know that sounds crazy, but I did research and part of my training, because I really trained for the 100 mile, made a much difference. Part of my training was to listen to alligator sounds, so I wouldn't startle and get frozen when I heard it, but and to get used to it, because I had nightmares for a while, for several months.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's like the craziest training thing I've for an ultra. I listened to alligator sound.
I did, so I can be comfortable in
yourself. Oh my gosh.
Yes, to be comfortable, so I wouldn't have that fight or flight, nervous, adrenaline high, shaking, and all the energies put towards that. Oh my God, the alligator sound. So I listened to it at work. I would have it as background music. Some people listen to rain. I listen to the sounds of mama alligators.
Now you're just like soothed by it. Right. I got this. Did you get chased by an alligator again, or was it only the one time?
No, it was only that one time. But I have to say my strategy was a little different. There were times if somebody happened to be in front of me, I would say, hey, I'm sorry, my name is Aisha. You don't know me, but do you mind if I run with you just for this section of the race? And nobody asks why, which is amazing. and I would say, if you don't want to, it's no worries. I'll stay away. I'll stay back, And nobody ever said no. I would have been offended if they were like, oh, I just want to run my own race. People were like, yeah, sure. Oh, I don't, even if they didn't want to talk, I didn't talk. And I just ran their pace. And by the way, I forgot to mention when I did catch up with two other guys who were way faster than me, I kept up with them at their extremely fast pace until we were out of that area.
Out of the alligator zone.
Right, exactly. So that little alligator zone, that's I made it a point to always try to run with somebody.
Yeah.
For a little while, if I could.
Run with someone that maybe you could beat in a foot race real fast, right? If the alligator shows up.
Right. I didn't even think about that. That would have been terrible. Oh yeah, I can beat this one if an alligator comes back.
Like, don't really hang out with those fast guys again. Stay with slower people in that section.
Right.
I love that you didn't think of that. That's immediately where my mind went. I'm like, yeah, you got to have some bait for the alligator and you get out of there. Well, you're not enticing me to come do a race in Florida. I get chased by an alligator.
They're awesome. At least I was told, as long as you stay away from them. But this one chased it. I didn't do anything. I think I heard the baby alligators earlier. And that's when I actually said in my head, that means mommy's around. I don't know what that looks like later. And sure enough, I now know what it looks like. It means you were too close to the babies.
In your running and in your training, I mean, it sounds like a lot of it was solo. At any part did you start getting in like to the trail or ultra community in your area?
No, unfortunately not. Only because I don't have anything against running with people. I've actually tried on many occasions.
No, I have something against it, but it's all right.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm a solo runner. I'm a solo runner.
I'm a solo runner too, but I gave up on the group runs a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'll be specific. Two things that come to mind. First, my schedule is not, apart from the super early in the morning, the 3 a.m. On the weekends when I do the long runs, it is not consistent, meaning even when the girls right now, they're teenagers, so they have, we're going to this skate party, we're going bowling, and so we have that going. So I basically, to make a long story short, I'm revolving my training around activities for the kids, whatever my husband has going with his comic books, convention going on, my girls, if they have this and that going on, birthday parties. So I might have to get the run done after all of those types of things. So that's one thing. I'm not super consistent. I can't say, oh yeah, I'm always going to be at the park at 9 a.m. if you need me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to run with me, that's one. And then two, I've had people say, oh yeah, a lot of people, oh yeah, this is awesome. Let me know your next long run. I'll come out and run with you and da 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 and this and that. Just remind me, or next weekend, yeah, I can let me check my schedule. Yeah, that's perfect. And they don't show. I'll text them the day before, 2 days. Oh yeah, day before or morning of. Oh no way, I'm exhausted, or oh I forgot all about it. So
Oh
I just
no.
one of those. Okay, that's all right. I've accepted the lone runner. Sometimes it can be lonely, but most times it's good. You run. If
Yeah.
I want to make a left, if I want to speed up, if I want to go this way or go that way, I can, because it's just me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. I mean, I've done group runs. There's a good running group in my area that I've gone and done runs with, and but
Mhm.
I'm someone, man, I just distract myself and just am like, oh, I want to loop and go look down that way at that house that I like, or like, oh,
Yes.
I want to stop by a playground, or oh, I want to go get a donut from this bakery. Like that's what I do on my run, and I feel like I can't, like you're saying, like I can't do that if somebody else is here.
Right.
Like
It's freedom. It's freedom when
yes.
you have your choices to do whatever you want. Donut, coffee, if you're in the middle of the run. I've done cookies in the middle of a run. Yeah,
Yes.
I totally get it. I get it for sure. I've embraced it 100%. I've been in this place for a while. Now, I did, by the way, do group runs years ago when I first started running, but
Hmm.
that was for shorter distances.
Yeah.
Well, my first marathon, I did train with the group.
Hmm.
And that was awesome. And that kind of changed my whole life, because it was a small group, and I appreciate that. It was a
Yeah.
small group, and they were all seasoned, excellent runners. So I learned a lot from them. So that
Yeah.
was good.
Absolutely. Okay. So you've done up to the 100 miler. What's the race you're most proud of at this point?
Oh my gosh, definitely Voodoo Ultra. That's an easy
Oh,
answer. Voodoo Ultra ended up being 138 miles.
goodness.
Yes. So this was a race that was during the pandemic. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And it was supposed to start from Baton Rouge, and you run against the Mississippi River on the levee all the way to New Orleans.
Hmm.
Little side note, that was a childhood dream of mine.
Oh,
By the way,
cool.
I'm from New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm from New Orleans, and I had family on my dad's side in Baton Rouge. So it was like this big house. It was magical when we went to visit, because we didn't visit a whole. It was like one of those 3 times a year kind of holidays, special occasions, 4 times a year. Um, that when we used to visit the family, it's about a 3 hour drive. So as a kid, I remember looking out the window saying, "Whoa, that would be so awesome if I could run from grandmommy's house to my mom, to back home, or vice versa, or, home in New Orleans to, to my grandmother's house." So it was something that I imagined myself as a child uh, running.
Hmm.
But I know it sounds crazy. So that was actually part of the reason how I got into ultra running. There was a race. I just typed in randomly once I realized, oh, I can go further, and I love trail running. I literally typed in races in New Orleans, and that's one of the first things that came up, was actually called Rouge Orleans.
Yes, I looked at that one
Yeah,
years ago because you get like the
yeah,
alligator head
yeah.
as like the finish line thing.
I didn't even remember what the medal.
Yes,
That's what
I
it
looked at
was.
that one so many years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
didn't
know what
know
you're
it was an
talking about.
alligator head. I probably would
Yeah.
have pushed myself to try to do it then if I
Yeah.
knew that's what it was. But now they canceled that one since then, and the whole new race organization, Voodoo
Okay.
Ultra, during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, New Orleans said, y'all can't come, you can't
Yeah,
come here.
can't
At the
come
last,
here.
right, we have this whole pandemic, sorry, which I thought was so strange, because it was such a small group of us. I could see if it was a big race, but anyway, so they ended up making it a out and back.
Okay.
Uh, so we stayed in Baton Rouge the whole time. And at first I was bummed. And then after that, I was like, it's on paper, by the way, it's 135 miles, but it took me 100 on my watch. It was 138. So,
Yeah.
I was like, 138 miles is 138 miles. It's okay. But they haven't had it since then. But your question was not my best or favorite.
Like, what are
What
you
was,
most proud of? The
oh, proud of
accomplishment? Yeah.
definitely that one. And not only because of the distance and the endurance that it took, it was just such a fun race. It was just, I don't want to use the word easy. It wasn't complicated. You know
Hmm.
how there are some races that you go over a lot of speed bumps, you have a lot of drama, a lot of problems, whether it be nutrition. I threw up 5 times, I had gastric issues, whatever.
Hmm.
It rained the whole time. We did have some torrential rain, but that was actually really crazy, but it wasn't, it was still made the race. It made it epic. It was, oh, it was just such an amazing race. I had such a great time with that.
I love that. As soon as you started talking about like the route, I was like, wait, what was the name of that race? And it was like
Rouge
such an obscure
Orleans.
race. And it ended during Mardi Gras, the original one, right? I think it ended
Yes.
during Mardi Gras. Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you
yeah.
imagine?
That's
And
so cool.
yes.
I think
And
I even looked up like Airbnbs and stuff. Like this is how much I don't
really,
even know what made me like not do the race that year or whatever, but I looked at that one for a while. That's so funny. I'd
yes.
forgotten
And
about it.
right. That one ended in Audubon Park too during Mardi Gras. Can you imagine how incredibly epic that would have been to just
Such a
party after that?
crazy end to the race. Such a crazy end. But I can like see like even like the route is it's just an out and back. So you're not even have to think about like turns or navigation, even.
Exactly.
Like you can really just
Yes.
zone out and run. And it is
Right.
easy in that sense for sure.
Yes, absolutely. That helped tremendously. That's why I said it was one of my fun, best races. It wasn't a lot of, I mean, of course, they was thinking getting a crew together was actually very difficult because most people, when they hear, they're like, what are you talking about? But my crew was awesome. They were awesome, awesome, awesome. And they
Yeah.
ran a lot of miles with me too. I was not expecting that. I just
Yeah.
needed somebody to help me through the night, the first night.
Yeah. What's been your hardest ultra?
Ooh, hardest ultra. Oh man, I think it might have been the one that just passed. I in Savannah.
Hmm.
Shout out to Jason Green, awesome race director. Uh,
Yes.
and that was Dark Anchor.
Yep.
Dark Anchor, and I made it hard. The race wasn't hard.
I was gonna say, you said that. I was like, wait, that's not like looped with like no
Yes,
elevation. Yeah.
exactly. I made it difficult. This because ultra running is so mental, and I just proved that. Yep, it's so mental because I trained for that race. It wasn't like one of those. It wasn't like the first Wildcat where I just threw myself in and said, "Oh, I'll figure it out." But and the route was perfect in the park. I forget the name of the park. It escapes me right now for
Yeah.
Dark Anchor, but the route was beautiful. The weather was gorgeous. There was really no reason for for me to have not get to my goal because, by the way, that was my first hourly race.
Okay.
First time doing that, and I don't know if that was the problem because it was an hourly race, and I just kind of had oh yeah, it's gonna be fine. I'll finish it in time. But the problem for me was that I just got super super tired, and it was actually it's a little bit of two things that happened. One, it was a little, I just got really tired, and I've been way far worse off in terms of being tired. So I can't really blame that completely. And I have not admitted this to one other person. So this would be like an exclusive for you.
Yes.
I did mention it to Susan Donnelly. Super shout out to her. Yeah, she's awesome. I did do like a little, not a little. I reached out to her for a post race session, one-on-one session, because I was really in my head about this. So she knows about this. So to make a long story short, I was doing too well. I felt I was doing so well. I was past any kind of my, I was PRing in the 32-mile distance and the 50-mile distance. The 50-mile distance, I don't remember what the time, but I remember being like, oh my God, am I going too fast or what's going on? And I still feel good. And when I got to the 100K, I was like, oh God, this is the fastest I've ever gone. I don't know if I want to be that person to run these races super fast. I like to have a good
Yeah.
time, whatever. So I got in my own head about it. And I've never done that. In fact, if I heard somebody say that, I was like, what kind of stupid ass problem is that? I don't understand. Well, you got on yourself because you were doing well. That's what happened. I was literally picturing myself, oh, I don't want to be at a start line where everybody is like, why are you way in the back? You should be in the front. So I got in my own head. I don't know. I don't know if that's considered imposter syndrome kind of thing. It's really weird. I know I've never had that issue before, but it's something that I'm clearly going to have to work
Yeah.
out in my mind because
Yeah. I could see that how that would be like unsettling because it's like this is how I see myself as a runner is in,
right,
whatever back middle of the pack or whatever. Like that's not who I am as a runner. Who is this
right,
person up here?
yes,
I could see how that would become unsettling because you're just
it
like,
was.
this is my identity here. It's not up in the front. And then I don't want to be known as someone who's up in the front, because then that's putting pressure on your running that you probably didn't want there.
Yes. And I'm a person who doesn't care what people think. I'm not saying that to be in a mean way or in a cocky way. I just really, I'm very comfortable in my skin and who I am. But that all of a sudden brought something else up where it's just like you said, is I'm love the back of the pack, middle of the pack, having a good time, smiling, showing love to everybody. Now I just felt that would put me in this competitive place. Yeah, and I was uncomfortable with that, but still unpacking that, still trying to figure that out, because there's absolutely no way that I should have not finished that race well before time. I was on the path of finishing it in a time that would be my super fast for 100 miler for me. And I don't know, I got in my head about it. And next time will be much better.
Yeah. It's interesting because even like I'm thinking about now, and for me, I'm 37. I've been around ultra running for like 15 years now. And in my mind, you've been around ultra enough. There's people that, are PRing into their 50s. And that's me. So there's zero pressure on my running right now, right? Like I'm not trying to PR at 37, like I'm going to PR at 57. I'm good. I'm going to take it easy right now on myself. But I could see if you flip that switch in your head of like knowing that you PR'd all your distances here at this race, that's pressuring your next event.
Right.
And like, even, for me, I don't take it seriously at all, but I could see that being like oh man, I PR'd. Like, am I just going to get worse from here? It's just downhill from here for me. Right. I'm too young for it to be downhill for me, like I got 20 more years of PRs in my mind, to go.
Yes.
So I could see that just like a mental shift. And that would take me some time to like process.
Yeah. And it did. And I'm still processing it, not as much as it was then. Because by the way, as I'm sure, with hourly races, you can come back. So I went back to the hotel. I laid down, I was calm. I said, okay, of course I couldn't sleep. I said, wow, I can't sleep. I could have done this at the aid station area, just sat still for a minute and gone back out. I was in my head for sure.
Yeah.
And then especially when I didn't end up sleeping, by the way, I ended up just laying there for a bit, then went to the hotel and had breakfast. And I started crying when I saw the sunrise, because that's my favorite part of ultra running, seeing the sunrise, like how that's so awesome that you get to see that in the morning. You said the sunrise, not a sunset, right?
Sunrise.
Yes, that's awesome. So when I'm eating my bacon and eggs and like, oh, the race is over, and I see the sunrise, I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be out there still running, seeing that and getting emotional then and just being super excited. That's when I said I'm going back out. So I went back out and I just walked that one loop. And it was really good. It was very therapeutic. That was me just kind of at the time closing the chapters, like, okay, I didn't reach 100 miles. I got to 75, by the way. And I said, it's going to be okay. Like I literally walked, I stopped and watched the water. It was nice. It was very peaceful. And I made peace with myself, because I said, well, kind of, I did go back at work, and I was typing and I was like, wait a minute, I could have finished the time. I had my pace calculator out. Checking the time. That's when I called Susan Donnelly. I said, I think I need a little session. It's not, I'm in my head.
Yeah. Have you done an event since then?
February. No, I have not. It wasn't on purpose. I'm not.
Yeah.
I do have a race coming up though.
Oh, what's coming up?
Yes. Selma to Montgomery. It's most people are doing a relay. There are lots of relays of different distances, or 3-person team. I think the highest is 6, 2-person team, 6 people. So in this particular race, I don't know how many ultra runners there will be out there, like how many 51. It's 51 miles, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many 51 milers will be out there. So I actually had to get a crew at the last minute. And when I say crew, it's just one person. He actually, he's totally cool about it. He helped me through. He's one of the people that helped me through Voodoo Ultra. He was so awesome. So awesome. Never complained once. I actually learned a lot from him crewing, and I mean, not one complaint. I didn't know, and he got lost several times, and he didn't tell me about it. Yeah, he didn't tell me about it until it was all over. He's from Trinidad, so when it was all over, it was like, girl, I got lost so many times. I didn't know where I was. I said, David, why didn't you tell me? He's like, oh, no way. Your job was to run, not to be worried about me being lost in the streets at night.
How did you find him as a crew member?
When I trained with the Atlanta Track Club years ago, when I did the smaller races, one of the group, I've trained with two groups, Atlanta Track Club and Atlanta Marathon Club.
Okay.
And that was when I was doing the smaller races, except the Atlanta Marathon Club, of course, as I mentioned before. And I met him training for a half or a 10. I might have been Peachtree Road Race, which is a 10K. And that's where I met him. And since then, I put him on to marathons and things of that nature. So it's not just him and I. There's a whole bunch of us that travel. Well, no, we do a lot of races together. In fact, the Dark Anchor, he did come down. He didn't crew me, and it's weird because I didn't really want to be crewed. I was like, oh, I can do this myself. But it would have been helpful if I had somebody to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you want about?
Right, go back out there. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm making it too long. The question was crew. Oh, Selma to Montgomery. Just asked him like last week. Hey, can you come and crew me? And he was like, oh yeah, absolutely, no problem. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about it.
That's so awesome. I love that. He sounds like a great crew member.
Oh, he's
What
awesome.
is your big race for the year? What's your big goal race?
I don't have one as of now.
I love that.
Yeah. In fact, this is really weird being March. Usually March, I would have already at least either have paid for most of the races already, or no, at least have a calendar.
Yeah.
And besides Selma to Montgomery, that's all I have on the calendar as of right now. Oh, there is, excuse me. Oh, I don't want to say the wrong name. I think it's Octopus. I don't know the name of it. I don't know. It's in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a race that I want to do, but it's not, I don't want to do the 100-miler.
Yeah.
I don't think that I will be ready for that heat. I think it would be a little bit too much for me. But I feel like I have to, I had to look up the race name because the race director, yes, Vero Beach Octopus Ultra. Okay. They have several different distances. So I think that's the one that I'm going to go for the 100K.
When is that?
That is in, sorry.
No, you're great.
Okay. Yeah, because and the belt buckle is awesome. And I almost said, okay, I'm going to sign up for the 100 miles just for the belt buckle. No, I don't see the date. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're great. I don't care. I'm just curious, really. I'm just curious, really.
You should come out and do it.
So I have lived in Chicago for 7 years now. I'm from Tennessee originally, and I am opposed to humidity and heat at this stage in my life. I love the Chicago bitter cold in the winter.
No.
Yes, I love it so much. Give me like 10 degrees, 20 degrees. I'm out running in it. It's amazing.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
We're complete opposite when it comes to that.
I can't do the
love
heat.
The humidity.
Oh man, get me out of it. I don't want anything to do with it. People will think it's humid here, and I'm like, no, this is not Southern humidity at all. And I don't know. I've lived here 7 years now, and it's weird. Like if it's 40 degrees, we're out in shorts at this point, just because we're so adapted to the cold up here.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I like the heat. I like the humidity, but I also know my limits. And by the way, Vero Beach Octopus Ultra is July 16th.
So, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You have fun with that. I want you to really enjoy it.
It's going to be super fun, but you're describing, I don't know if you know, I don't have no idea, but the Ultra Running magazine, I'm on the front cover for March.
I did know that about you. Yeah, which is crazy. Did you ever think that you would just be on the cover of Ultra Running magazine?
No, I love that. I'm super excited about it. But the reason why I bring it up is because in that race, it was in Glen Rose, Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, it was 18 degrees was the low.
Nice.
And that was crazy to me, but I was so prepared. In that picture.
You're like really bundled. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have on
seen it.
I have 3 pairs of pants, leggings, 2 Adidas pants, top. I had a tank top, short sleeve shirt, a thick thermal women's shirt, a thick thermal men's shirt. You can actually see it coming out the bottom, and a sweatshirt.
goodness.
Yes, and gloves. I had on a hand warmer on the front, hand
Mhm.
warmer on the back, and hand warmers in my shoes.
Yeah.
And of course the hat, the colorful hat.
I've seen that. I've seen the cover. I didn't really put together like that you would be so bundled because it was cold. I mean, that I will say that is the thing. If you're going to live in a cold environment, like you have to make an investment in cold weather running gear, right? And like once you have that, you're like, oh, okay. But if you don't have the right gear, like no, you're just going to freeze. It's going to cut right. You have to wear 5 layers, you know, which totally is like a weird thing to be running in multiple layers like that.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny now that I know that.
Yeah, but I was comfortable, honestly.
Yeah.
I was in fact, I had to take off some of those layers midday. At night, I had to put on a coat, and that was a last minute decision. I'm so glad I brought that coat at the last minute because I don't know what I would have done without it. But it was an awesome experience. That's not a complaint. I had a great time. I had a great time in that race.
That's awesome.
Which brings me, I'm sorry, I just want to add a little
you
quick
can add whatever you want. This is your story.
Yes. Okay. I just want to also say, because I mentioned how I don't do group runs so much because of, I just explained those 2 reasons. But what was so awesome about this race, it was that I was put in a group. No, that's not how to say it. That's not quite. So there's a group called Dirtbag Runners.
Oh, you were on like their team, right?
Yes. Right. So that was an experience that I've never had before. Like, as I said, I've done either solo or crewed, and the crewing is, the moving van, the moving aid station. So this was to go through a circle, the loop race, and come back to a tent that was just, all the volunteers that I've ever been to, I can't say anything negative, have been super awesome. But there was something extra beautiful about this group of dirtbag runners that was just so amazing. It was just so much love and so much, hey, yeah, do you need some water? I'm so used to just grabbing my own water, untying my own shoes and changing my own shoes. And it was just like, oh, no, we got you. Sit down. And I was like, well, okay. So I do have to give a big shout out to them because they were so much good energy, so much fun. The music, it was just like something to look forward to, even though all loops and all volunteers, but it was just something extra. It was empowering. It was amazing. I love every single one of those runners out there. It was awesome.
That's so fun. I love that. I don't, one, I'm a terrible ultra runner. I don't read Ultra Running magazine at all. I see the covers come up, right? Like, and I see people share them. And so I'd seen yours, but I hadn't put together that was the Active Joe race that you were at, right? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Got you. One of Libby's races. And then they had gotten that team together. That's so cool. That's such a rad thing that they set up at that event.
Yes, it was super, super awesome. And a little side note about the dirtbag runners, I missed the deadline and I was really like being super aggressive, which is not really me. I was like, typing, emailing, DMing, like, I really love everything about you guys. This is awesome. I would love to be a part of the group. Like, applications are over. You missed the deadline. But I happen to know another person, Erica. Big shout out to Erica, amazing ultra runner.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Erica figures it out, right?
Yeah,
that's her little handle.
Right.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
That's her, Erica Morris. So she was like, I already, of course, still signed up for the race. I was like, well, yeah, I'm still gonna go. I'll just see y'all there. And but it ended up being one of those, oh no, come on down. It's gonna be cool. I'm gonna be hanging out with them. You can hang out with us, and it's cool. So I was like, really, I don't want to be in the way. I'll be the picture taker. But it wasn't like that at all. I was immediately embraced, and I embraced them. So it was awesome. That was one of those moments like, wow, I wish I had this group in Atlanta where we could run together. But once again, I still have that situation of, I maybe have to catch you guys.
So I like the idea of running with you all. That seems really fun, but also.
But I bet you somebody might be up to come up 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning with me to run.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the next like big goal or dream for you in the ultra running space?
Okay. For me, 2 things pop up in my mind. One is definitely passing that 138-mile mark.
I was about to ask if that was your furthest distance. Okay.
Yes, that was definitely my furthest distance. Would love to pass it. By how much? I don't know. I'm not sure about 200.
139. 139. That's good.
139 is good too. Yeah, that, and this might be kind of a weird goal, but to well, it's two more goals to it. I want to just be super comfortable running the races.
Mm.
I'll start off with maybe even a 62 miler, where it's just super comfortable. I was going to say 50, but I'm already at a place that 50 miles is very comfortable for me, especially with the fact that it's all in one day. That makes it extra comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's that mental part that it's like, oh, I can finish this race all in one day and not run through the night, which, by the way, is also always a little crazy to me.
When you've been chased by an alligator, you
right.
know, I think that's understandable.
So you get it. You understand.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would be traumatized too. I get it. Okay.
Yes. So I love that. I forgot. Oh yeah. So to be comfortable. Yeah, I just went there for a second. I just remembered the adrenaline. I was shaking for 30, 40 minutes after that race. But I would definitely say just to be more comfortable, more. I mean, yes, those distances you have the pain, you can't help it. That's just what it is. But to be even more, just like, oh yeah, I'm in pain at mile 80, but it's totally fine. It's totally good.
Yeah.
So that is a goal, to get more comfortable. Maybe some 100-mile runners will hear that and be like, that'll never happen. That's impossible. Your body will always be super uncomfortable. But that's just one of my goals. So I guess extra training.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. Every training cycle, I up my training, where I feel like anybody watching would think that I was training for the Olympics or something. So I kind of go hard. I go hard out there when I go running and with the strength training and all. So yeah.
Yeah. So when you say like feel comfortable, is it the physical aspect or is it like the mental aspect? Mental.
Ooh, both. Mm-hmm. Definitely not having a dark anchor going into a dark place of, oh, I'm going too fast. This is a nightmare because I'm doing so well. So I don't want to have that. Definitely more comfortable mentally for sure. Mm-hmm. And physically a little bit more comfortable getting, and I already feel that happening, you know, each the longer distances, feeling more comfortable at mile 40. I'm like, oh, I remember doing being at mile 40 a couple of years ago at this race, and I felt like trash. And now I feel only like a little bit of trash, not so bad.
Teeny trash.
Just a little bit. Or yeah, so both physically and mentally. That's a very good question. Yeah. Very good point.
I'm sure it's making me think of these people, and I'm sure you've seen them at this stage in ultra running that like almost like they don't train, they just show up at races and will just do like 100-miler every month. And you're just like,
yes, how?
Yeah. Like how? And clearly they're just showing up with a confidence that I don't have of just being like, you know, well, like this, like, oh my gosh, that's a lot to be doing. And these people are also, to their credit, once again, these are those people in those 50s that they're PRing that I'm aiming for in 20 years, you know? So like, it gives me something to look forward to, but like, clearly they're showing up with a confidence, like the distance doesn't scare them at all anymore. Right. Mm-hmm. Which is a 100-miler distance still seems very scary.
Yes.
A lot can go wrong in that space of time.
Yes. And I think that plays into the mental aspect, that they're just either super strong, or they might have a lot of things to think about and they go out there and that's where
that's true.
The only place where I can get a good quiet time to myself to think.
It's so funny. I just remembered I was at a race. I was at No Business 100 and I was crewing a friend of mine, which is a beautiful, if you've not done that race, you should go do it. It's in our Lake and Gorgeous area. Okay. But I think I was at like mile like 30 or something at the aid station. And, you know, we're cheering on other runners as we're waiting for ours. And this woman comes through and I'm like, you look great. Look, you're having a great day. She's like, I'm having a great day. My family is not here. Like, all right, dude. All right. She was like, I am here for my full 100 miles without my family. And I was like, you do you. You clearly have a motivator to be here. I get it. Exactly. You don't want to go home. That's a motivator.
Exactly. It's the time to clear your mind. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is there a race that you'd like to go for? Like that's still like kind of in your periphery. You've not registered for it, whether it be a specific distance, but like a race that you're just like, that's a dream race for me if I could get into that event.
Well, there's actually one that comes to mind immediately right now. I bet you later on I'm gonna say, wow, there's several other races. I don't know why.
That is a dumb race. Why did I choose that one?
So many others, but no, as of right now, I would definitely say actually a race I just pulled out of like last week or so. And that's only because with my job and my daughter's spring break, it was not a good time. I should have done a little bit more research, but I feel like this would have been a good race to definitely pass the 138-mile mark.
Mm-hmm.
And just, to me, perfect. It's called Beyond Limits Ultra, aka Blue. It's in California in the mountains, and it's like, it's an hourly race as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They have the 72-hour, which is the one I signed up for. 72-hour. I don't think it goes to 46-hour, 24, and you could also do the 100-miler as well. But you have plenty of time. But I thought that would have been a really good one. So, just to be out there, it was going to be like a big, almost like a summer camp type experience, because they have horses and horseback riding.
Yeah.
I think they even have like movie night. I could be making that one up. Campfires. It sounded really awesome, but it was an expensive lesson, but I had to pull out of that one because it just didn't work logistically, and I wish I would have done a little bit more research. But I think that would have been that's a goal one. But I know later on I'm going to think of something else. I would love to do Voodoo Ultra. They don't have it anymore, by the way. The race directors have other races, and they haven't opened this one back up. I don't know why. But to finish that Baton Rouge all the way to New Orleans, by the way, in Voodoo, that finishes in front of the St. Louis Cathedral. So that would have been really awesome too, because I'm sure they would have had some bands out there or something. It's just lively French Quarter vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's I know for a fact I'm going to think of something.
You're going to like message me later. This one, add it in. Would you ever do the Voodoo Ultra, or like, that route as your own journey run outside of a race? It's funny
that you say that. I thought about that. I did think about that.
You should do it for sure.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, maybe there were no alligators.
Yes. Plus,
and I did my research on that. Is because now that I'm an expert on alligators, now I'm just kidding. I'm not, but it's too cold during March.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yes. Well, cold for alligators.
Yeah, the alligators.
Yeah, I should say it like that. So I did see some, but they're in the water. Mm-hmm. They're not coming out to sunbathe because it's too chilly for them.
Yeah.
Just a few. I just saw a few, and they just kind of like wade in the water and don't even move around. And in fact, I thought I didn't throw anything to make sure, but I was like, I see you. Keep going.
Don't throw anything at them.
Right. But it's funny that you say that. I have absolutely thought about that. I don't know what time of the year. There was also a bit of some duck hunting. So there was a lot of gunshots at one point. And
that's terrifying when you're running.
Yeah, that was very terrifying. It was very close. This wasn't like, wow, there's somebody duck hunting far away. This was like, whoa, there's somebody duck hunting. Like,
I see the duck.
Right. It was very loud, very close. We never saw where they were, and I'm glad I wasn't by myself at the time. Mm-hmm. I was with David. David ran that part with me. I was so glad. But that part was really, really scary. I think if I was by myself, I probably would have just laid out on my belly for a while until it stopped.
I mean, you kind of have to. You're like, I don't know if this is all duck hunting. I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh,
definitely
so terrifying.
Went through my mind. So yeah. So with that being said, I don't know. I thought about it. That would be awesome to go back and actually do it on my own. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. What advice would you have for someone that's just thinking about getting into trail and ultra running?
Oh, that's a great preparing, at least for the trail, for both. I like the putting out the blueprint and the strategic part of it. I think it's so much fun. So just a plan. If you're not thinking that far and as 100 miles as of yet, if you want to, you were saying an ultra 32, 50 miles, I just plan for it. And what I mean by planning is, if you know that you're going to run, you got to know about the weather. So if you know you're going to be running in the trail when it's super hot and it may not be a lot of coverage, tree coverage, and you might be out in the open for a bit, have that sunscreen, have that extra electrolytes that would be very helpful to help you push through any type of dehydration that you may experience. Have the extra water, have the extra whatever you need that works with your system. Plan. So I don't suggest you go out for long distances in the trails without doing shorter distances, or longer distances without being in the trails where you get sick and it's going to be such a hellacious experience to get back to the car. That's what I always think about, that car, going back to the car and not feeling well.
Yeah.
So just when he trying out new things, make it a go in the trail, but don't do the 10 miles don't do 5. If you're going to do 10 miles, do 5 and back, maybe as a goal later. Instead, if you want to do 10 on the trail, do that 2 out, 2 back, 2, make it small in a shorter distance, and then expand with the more you get more comfortable with the trail and the more whatever you're trying to put in your system doing longer distances.
I like that. Like give your self space to actually troubleshoot what's going to end up happening at these distances.
Right. And with that being said, I don't want to make it sound like it's got to be this brain thing, this extra stuff to think about. It doesn't have to be hard. I suggest trying a little bit at a time. Running is fun. It's not meant to be this, especially ultra running or trail running, where it's got to be this horrendous experience and ordeal every time you go running. It shouldn't be an ordeal. It should be to the point where it's not an ordeal, where you've gotten all that out of the way, where you know what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. This is a fun question that I've been asking recently, just because I'm a super curious person. But what's like a goal or a dream you have outside of the running space?
For ultra running in general?
No running, just in your life outside of running.
I wasn't expecting this question.
I know, right? It's just a new thing because I'm curious and it's my podcast and I get to ask the questions. But I asked someone else recently, and their thing was like, just to give you an example, they were like, I've always had a dream of like starting my own business. And so that was theirs. So something just totally out of running, because you're a whole person outside of running.
Oh man.
You're like, am I?
Okay, no, I do have an answer.
Okay.
Can you just repeat it one more time?
What is a dream or a goal you have outside of running?
Okay. I would love to be a part of retreats, or a retreat that is all about wellness, like a healing retreat. Mm-hmm. So whether it be running involved.
It's okay. We could be adjacent.
Yes, whether it be running. I've done yoga every now and then, but honestly, it's a little bit too slow for me. I like intense yoga. If I'm going to do yoga, it's intense. I can't quite picture an entire retreat with yoga. I don't think that would be my thing. I would probably be extremely bored after a while. Yeah. But some type of wellness retreat, maybe even, I say a part of it, but like when I say a part of it, like maybe one of the leaders to help put on something. I would love to be, that's when I say a part of an organization or a company that is putting on something that is all about wellness, whether it be meditation, yoga, running, walking, hiking, trail, something in the trails, mostly outside stuff, to be more specific. That would be really nice. Yeah. In fact, I've done a little bit of research on it before, and one of the things that pops up is silent retreats. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I don't think I'm ever going to be ready for that. I don't think
I could do it. I was like, man, you're committing to a silent retreat? Oh gosh.
Yes, no, that was something I said I would probably lose my mind. Yeah. Also, I want to add this other thing, being a part of a wellness retreat that you're still able to eat well. Mm-hmm. I feel like the things that I've learned in the research that I've done in looking up retreats for wellness is that they don't give you a lot of food to eat. And I always say, well, why do you have to starve yourself to go be healed and find yourself, or to be at peace? Why do you have to have just like fruits and vegetables? Why can't, if I want to eat a gigantic pasta with meat in it, can I not have that? So that would be one of the things I would push for, like good meals, good hearty meals.
Yeah.
I know I'm sure I'm one of the very few people that feel that way, because I feel like I understand that part of healing is not starving yourself. What is the word?
Yeah, like they're very like nutritional focused. Like these are the foods with the energies, but there is a balance. And what you're saying is like, I want to provide a balance to like real food I'm gonna eat every day, to the good fruits and vegetables that are good for my body. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you.
Right, right. So that's one of the things. I was one of the retreats I was looking at the food. That's one because I love to eat. By the way, I should mention that I love to eat. I'm a foodie. So the stuff that they had, I was like, wow, that looks awesome, but it doesn't look like it would be enough. So I imagined myself like taking food and putting it in a napkin and putting it in my pockets, saying I'm going to save this for later.
I really like, it's funny to me when I talk to runners like you and I that are more solo runners.
Yes.
I find that we have better imaginations, and I'm seeing this with you. You have envisioned a whole retreat, and you've even gone down to the food.
Yes.
If you had to sneak in your own food, and that's like, I would go down that rabbit hole in a heartbeat. Like,
Yes.
just like, what am I bringing? What do I have to get for this thing that I'm not even signed up to do? And I'm gonna have to sneak my food. What if they catch me sneaking my food?
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, we have better imaginations for the, whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know.
No, it's an awesome thing. I think that's part of the long distance running.
Yeah.
You're able to just be in your head and comfortable with yourself and coming up with little scenarios and
Yeah.
having fun with it. But yeah, would definitely bring my own food for sure.
Unless it's your hosted event, and then there will be good food,
Yes.
to everyone coming. You don't have to sneak in food. We'll have good snacks there. I got it.
And I'm not saying, I want to have like a whole bunch of unhealthy, like, like you described it best, not like a whole bunch of fried stuff and greasy this and greasy that. I'm just saying something a bit more hearty than salads. I don't think I would do well with salads a whole weekend or a whole I would be so sad.
Yeah.
Especially in a silent especially in a silent retreat where I can't express my sadness.
Oh my goodness. I'm just like envisioning it all in my head. The silent retreat, you're having to eat salad. You can hear people like cutting you can hear the forks. Like, it's man. Yes. Yeah, we don't want to go there. Let's not go to that. You're going to have to create this better wellness event that's more enjoyable all around for people that can't just be quiet and eat lettuce all day. I'm with you.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And it's funny. Like, I think of things like that, and I you're like, oh, wellness retreat sounds really nice. And you start looking them up and you're like, no, that doesn't sound like the wellness retreat for me. So now in your head, you're like, well, I've got to create the wellness retreat that I would enjoy, because others would enjoy that too. So yeah, I'm with you. I look forward to seeing your wellness retreat in the future.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, another thing, retreat. I've done this Afro-Brazilian martial art called capoeira. I would have capoeira at the retreat as well.
Wait, what was it called again?
Capoeira is spelled Capoeira.
Okay. I love that you told me. My nephew does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So, and he like knows everything about all sports ever, because he's very smart. And I'm going to have to like shoot him a text. Like, do you know about this one? So
yes, I'm sure he knows. I know about Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I've never done it. I like watching MMA.
Yeah.
In fact, if you know about it, please don't tell me who won the John Jones fight. I haven't seen it yet.
Know.
Oh, okay.
I do not know. We've been watching women's SEC basketball here this weekend.
Awesome.
Which I think, I think Tennessee's supposed to start playing here soon. So we'll see.
Okay.
Against South Carolina. So we'll see.
Nice.
So I don't know who won. I will not spoil that for you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to a stranger. You have been so lovely and such a joy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing your running journey in the future. And I'm very excited about this wellness retreat. Let me know when you've got things figured out. It's in my head now. So you're on my radar. I'm going to like start DMing you regularly. When are we doing the wellness retreat?
That would be great. That's awesome. My face is hurting. I'm smiling so much. But that would be great. I would love to be a part of that. If you know anybody who's starting one or has that idea already, I'm like, I'll head the hiking part or the running part.
Yeah, we'll see what we can get from the podcast. We'll put this out there and let them come to us.
Yes, I love it.
We can execute. I'll make some connections. All right, I'm gonna let you go back to your day. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate you as well.